They call it the MSI Creator Z16, and here are the benchmarks that are going to be coming up in just a few minutes. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Benji Kaiser. This is where you're going to find the best tech and tools for creative professionals. If you're tuning back in, thanks for being here. Comment below what your favorite part of this video is as we move forward. Now, one thing that stands out to me right off the bat is the fan noise of this laptop. I do love the laptop for many reasons, but the fan noise running at idle really stands out to me as a technical flaw. I really wish they would have had that fan noise be diminished or not at all, especially at idle. The computer is just sitting, not doing anything. Now, it is around 28 to 32 decibels, so it's really that ambient noise level, so you can't really hear it if you're not focusing on it, but it's just slowly drones. Now, the one thing that is cool is no matter what fan noise that you use on this laptop, you're gonna have basically the same export time out of Premiere Pro. We'll get into that later in the video, but I just thought bringing it full circle, this laptop does have great performance and great thermal controls, but at idle, the fan runs, and to me, that's just kind of annoying. Next, let's jump into the build quality. This is an all aluminum laptop. It is thin and light for a fantastic 16-inch package. It has vents on both the left, right side panels, back side of the chassis, and bottom of the chassis, as well as on the keyboard deck. Now, the speakers are featured on the bottom of the chassis, so the audio experience is good, but not necessarily amazing. And here's a quick sample for you so you can hear that for yourself. And regarding the webcam, I know you're all curious what that looks like, so here's a sample of the webcam. Here is the webcam for the Z16. You can see the color and the audio right now. It's definitely a little grainy. I've got good lighting on me, but it'll do the trick as well. Now, this laptop is not 100% aluminum. We have an aluminum bottom cover here. Then we have this plastic ring that goes around the bottom cover. The side panels and top cover, as well as keyboard deck, are aluminum. But again, this little rim insert here is not aluminum. If you're curious about my full impressions of the build quality and usability of this laptop, I filmed a full unboxing, and I'll link that up at the end of this video if you want to check it out. Now, jumping into the color accuracy, color gamut range, and brightness of this laptop, it does that very well, and it'll be suitable for creators. However, I was slightly disappointed to see that the Adobe RGB was not 100%. Late to the game, but following in Apple's footsteps, a lot of companies are removing many of the ports. This laptop comes with USB Type-C, headphone jack, a USB Type-A, and then on the other side we have a micro SD card, USB Type-C, and a USB Type-A. So there's actually no HDMI port on this laptop. So you'll have to either use a dongle or go directly from your monitor to USB Type-C. Now, like I've mentioned in the unboxing, that is a benefit in a way because if your monitor does function with USB Type-C, that means you can actually charge your laptop from your monitor based on the model that you have. Now, not all models will be able to do that, but many can these days. So it's pretty cool to only have to have one cord plugged into your laptop to both charge the laptop and run the monitor. Now, this laptop does have a 90 watt-hour battery, and here are the results from that 90 watt-hour battery. This was ran on battery saving mode, silent mode, and battery optimization mode. And speaking of those optimization modes, it's pretty incredible how much customization this laptop has. I didn't see a vast difference in performance from all of the different modes, especially during video editing, and of course we'll get into that in just a minute. So you have super battery mode, silent mode, balance mode, and high performance mode. But you also have these different battery optimization modes that allow you to do different functions and settings. You have audio optimizers so that you can have noise canceling, you can have speaker noise canceling, so if you're in maybe a loud coffee shop trying to be on a Zoom call, you can actually be projected through the microphone into the person's computer on the other end. So that's pretty cool. You also have application optimizer, which allows you to do AI optimization, real-time optimization, or user priority. And as you can see, I have the Adobe suite here on the optimization priority. Now, there's other optimizations that can function here, but this is mainly just showing you the status of your storage drives as well as the temperature of your laptop. And as you can see at idle, we're at about 42 degrees Celsius. Regarding the performance optimizer, we're going to run each of these modes in Premiere Pro and Photoshop to see where you get the best thermals, fan noise, and performance. That'll be coming up in just a second. This is a touchscreen laptop, and I'll actually link a pen below that will function in line with this laptop. If you have a Wacom stylus, so something like from the Samsung Galaxy Book Pro 360, that actually will not work because this laptop does not have that Wacom interactive technology. So you're just going to have to get more of a standard pen. And again, I'll link that up below so you can check it out. And also, if you're curious about the exact pricing and availability of this laptop, you can head down in the description below and I'll include some links there. If you do make a purchase through that link, I will get a small commission, but at no extra cost to you, but that keeps this channel alive and the helpful content coming your way. The keyboard in this laptop is great. It's a SteelSeries keyboard. I like the tactileness. It has that nice snappy touch when you really get your fingers into it, but it's not overly loud. It's not like a really loud mechanical keyboard, but it still has those elements because of it being a SteelSeries keyboard. I wish it had a full shift key on the right side. That's a big pet peeve of mine. I understand they wanted to keep the cluster together, so it made sense to do that shorter shift key to fit the toggle, arrow keys here. But overall, I really like the keyboard. Now, one thing I don't like about this laptop, and in my opinion could sway a lot of designers and video editors and creative professionals from it, is this rinky-dink trackpad. Okay, first of all, they could have made this vent smaller or moved it up, or even just extended the trackpad out to the edge of the keyboard and the edge of the laptop bezel. But they did not. They gave us this very small trackpad. And for me, this was annoying while using it. I would drag something from the top to the bottom, and it's such a short distance. Compared to something like the MacBook Pro, which I feel like this laptop is trying to aim to compete against, it just did not serve me well. The MacBook Pro trackpad is huge, and even something like the M16 or the G15 from Asus is way bigger than this trackpad. And I'll actually have a head-to-head review against those coming up here in just a little bit, so keep an eye on the channel for that. Without further ado, let's jump into the performance. This laptop does have the i7-11800H RTX 3060 graphics, 32 gigs of RAM, and a 1 terabyte SSD. First and foremost, we're going to start out in Cinebench R20 R23, Geekbench single core and multi-core. The simulated benchmark scores were good, but not necessarily great. Let's jump into the real-world test to see how this laptop handles 3D modeling. And 3D modeling, again, was not the best for this laptop. It fell below most of the gaming laptops coming out today. And for me, this showed a disappointing amount of performance, especially for the price point of this laptop. This is not necessarily a budget-friendly laptop. Now, where this laptop does benefit you is the premium elements. The aluminum build quality, it's thin and light, it's got a color-accurate screen. So the money was kind of shifted there, I think, as far as MSI's choice on building the laptop to lean more towards the user experience than it is the immense 3D modeling performance. Now, if you get this laptop with the RTX 3070 instead of the 3060, you'll definitely increase your 3D modeling performance. But as this laptop is configured with the 3060, it just doesn't stand up to gaming laptops, which are better priced in the market. The Z16 definitely redeemed itself in After Effects. As you can see in the standard After Effects benchmark, as well as the render benchmark, it's hanging up in the midst of the more performance gaming laptops than before with 3D modeling. So if you're gonna be an After Effects user, definitely a good buy. But as you can see in the After Effects render, getting that RTX 3070 would definitely lead you up with more performance. The 3060 is good, but like I'm saying, for the price, it just doesn't blow me away. Regarding the export times out of Premiere Pro, you can see those results coming up on the screen now. It did good with QuickSync with the Intel i7-11800H. The export times are great. The playback is solid in Premiere Pro for 4K. 6K B-RAW are both excellent. And then as we move on to the different fan mode configurations, I found it very interesting that at each fan mode, the temperatures and the fan noise were altered, but the actual export time stayed almost the same throughout all the different fan mode settings. I actually was very impressed by that because it means that the laptop is very optimized and doesn't rely so heavily on all of the cooling systems to actually allow the laptop to export at a reasonable speed. The export times are some of the best I've seen on my channel. If video editing is what you'll be using this laptop for, that'll be an excellent pick, but I just recommend getting a mouse because of this tiny little trackpad. All right, moving on to DaVinci Resolve, you can see the export times coming up on the screen as well. And note that playback is great in DaVinci Resolve. It's very GPU optimized, so whether you're doing 4K or 6K, you'll have no problems with playback in Resolve. Now, if you're somebody looking for a Photoshop laptop, outside of the fan noise that continues to run even at idle, this laptop performed fantastical. It was a great laptop for Photoshop, Figma, Affinity, Sketch, the Affinity Suite, any design or artist tool that you might be using. It had great performance. The Photoshop benchmark is what I use because it really pushes the laptop to its limits, and so that gives you a good test to see how well it will perform in other design tools. As you saw earlier in the different performance profiles, this laptop does stay cool. Now it is around 81 degrees Celsius during the 4K export, which is on the medium to higher end of the charts, but it's nowhere in the 90 plus degrees area of the charts. Something like the HP Omen or the Zephyrus G15 or the Legion 7 Slim. Those laptops get quite hot for 4K export times. The thermals on this laptop are good. Now, the fan is willing to run almost all the time. During the entire review here that I've been conducting, the fan has been running and it's only been on idle. Now, that's largely due to the thin, compact form factor and the aluminum chassis. Aluminum gets a little bit warmer than plastic, so the laptop has to work a little bit harder to keep it cool. Now, something to point out that doesn't happen all the time, but does happen at around 40-ish decibels of fan noise is a slight clicking noise in the fan. It's like so I don't know if it's because, of how the fans are assembled and at that certain RPM rate, it kind of has this clicking, or if it's just the model I have, but I did notice that and I was I was really disappointed to hear that. It just felt like a bad assembly for this laptop. And I hate to say that because there's a lot of things I like about this laptop. It's thin, light, has great thermals, great video editing and Photoshop performance, has a 16:10 aspect ratio screen, but those few elements are something that I think you should really be aware of. Comment below. I want to know your thoughts on the different aspects if you like this computer or if you're going to pass it for something else. I'm really curious about what you guys have to say about it. Links if you're ready to make a purchase, likes if this video has brought you some value, and subs if you don't miss out on the future uploads. I'll see you here in the next one.